Have you ever found yourself sitting in a quiet room, maybe after dinner or in the middle of the afternoon, when suddenly it hits you? Life used to feel a little fuller. Maybe the phone used to ring more often, or there were always plans to look forward to, friends dropping by, family gatherings, a busy calendar, and now it feels like the world has gone just a bit quieter. If you've ever had that sinking feeling that people you once knew so well seem to have drifted away, you are absolutely not alone. This is something so many people experience after 70, and it can feel like nobody warned us it would happen. The truth is, friendships can change with age. Sometimes it's distance, sometimes health, sometimes simply the natural flow of life. But what matters most isn't the number of friends you keep around. It's how connected you feel every single day. And staying connected is not only important for your happiness, it's a lifeline for your health, your memory, and your sense of purpose. That's why today, I want to share 5 heartfelt and practical ways you can feel connected and happy again, even if some of your old friends have drifted away. Now, before we begin, I want you to pause for just a moment and think of one person you used to laugh with. Maybe a childhood friend, a neighbor, or someone you worked with. That memory, that feeling of belonging, is what we're aiming to bring back into your life in new, refreshing ways. Because no matter your age, your heart still craves connection, and you still deserve joy. So let's talk about the first way you can start to feel that spark again. One of the most powerful steps is to rediscover the joy of being open to new connections. It's easy to tell ourselves that making friends is something people do in their 20s or 30s, but honestly, it can happen at any age. In fact, some of the most beautiful friendships are formed later in life because they're built on understanding, patience, and real appreciation for the little things. Imagine walking into a local community center for a class, maybe painting, dance, or even technology lessons, where you finally learn how to get the most out of that smartphone. At first, you might feel a little nervous. You might even wonder if everyone else already knows each other. But the funny thing is, most people there are feeling exactly the same way. They're hoping to meet someone who will smile back, who will sit next to them, who will ask, "So what brings you here today?" Every new friendship starts with a moment like that. And by putting yourself in places where people are open to connecting, you give yourself the chance to meet others who are looking for the same thing you are: companionship, laughter, a sense of belonging. Sometimes, though, starting fresh can feel overwhelming. And that's why the second way is just as powerful: reigniting old connections. Think about the people who've slipped through the cracks of time. That neighbor you used to see every morning when you picked up the newspaper. The cousin you only talked to at weddings or funerals, or the co-worker who used to make you laugh until your stomach hurt. Reaching out doesn't have to be complicated. A short phone call, a handwritten note, or even a simple message that says, "I was just thinking of you today, how are you doing?" can open a door you thought was closed forever. You might be surprised by how warmly people respond. Life gets busy, people move, and sometimes we assume others have forgotten us when in reality, they're just waiting for a sign that we still care. A dear friend of mine once shared that she reconnected with her college roommate after 50 years simply because she decided to send a holiday card. That one little gesture turned into weekly phone calls and eventually a reunion that brought tears of joy to both their eyes. And if you're worried about being the one to take the first step, let me tell you this: it is never a sign of weakness to reach out. It's a sign of strength, of hope, and of love. Friendships don't expire. They just need a little nudge to come back to life. Now, while we're talking about rekindling connections, let's not forget the most important connection of all, the one you have with yourself. That's the third way to rediscover happiness when friends drift away. Because when you nurture your own joy, you become a magnet for others. Think about it. People are naturally drawn to those who radiate warmth and contentment. When you engage in activities that bring you personal satisfaction, gardening, journaling, cooking, or even just sitting outside and enjoying the sound of the birds, you fill yourself with energy that others can feel. Self-connection also helps ease the sting of loneliness. Instead of focusing on what's missing, you begin to appreciate what's present. It's about waking up in the morning and saying, "Today I get to enjoy this cup of tea. Today I get to take a short walk. Today I get to read that book I've been saving." These small moments matter more than we realize. When you build a strong foundation of self-companionship, every new or renewed friendship becomes a joyful addition, not a desperate attempt to fill a void. And here's something else I want to share. When you practice loving your own company, you actually inspire others to join you. For example, if you've discovered a new hobby you love, say baking bread, you might invite a neighbor over to share a loaf. Or if you've been writing poetry, you could read a few lines to your grandchildren over the phone. These small gestures create opportunities for connection that are genuine and effortless, rooted in who you truly are. Before we continue, let me pause and say this. If you're finding value in this message, please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel. It helps us reach more people just like you who are searching for ways to live fuller, happier lives. And who knows, your simple click might lead someone else to hear the exact words they need today. Now we've touched on opening yourself up to new friendships, rekindling old ones, and strengthening the bond with yourself. Each of these is a beautiful piece of the puzzle, and together they create a strong foundation for a more connected and joyful life. But connection is more than just people. It's also about purpose. That brings us to another powerful way to feel less alone and more alive, and it's something we'll begin exploring right now. When you think about the times in life when you felt most alive, chances are they weren't always tied to having a crowd of people around you. More often than not, it was when you had a reason to get up in the morning, something that gave you purpose. That's the next key to feeling connected and happy again, finding ways to contribute, to be needed, to give a little piece of yourself to the world. Purpose is what transforms an ordinary day into something meaningful. For some, that might mean volunteering. Imagine walking into a library once a week to help children with reading, or showing up at a food pantry to pack bags for families who need them. The laughter of the kids, the grateful smile of a parent, the shared effort with others around you, these experiences remind you that you still have so much to offer. It's not just about filling time, it's about realizing that your wisdom, your hands, your heart still matter deeply. And it doesn't have to be a formal volunteer role either. Purpose might be as simple as checking in on a neighbor who lives alone, or tending a community garden where others come to enjoy the fruits of your labor. Even writing letters to family members, passing on your memories and stories, can become a powerful way of giving. Those stories might inspire a grandchild or bring comfort to a sibling. Purpose doesn't always come wrapped in a title or organization. Sometimes it's just choosing to put kindness into the world every single day. What happens when you live with purpose is something magical. People are drawn to that light. They see you as someone who has something to share, and in turn, they want to be around you. Loneliness begins to lift because purpose naturally creates connection. You're no longer just waiting for the phone to ring. You're the one stepping forward, creating moments that bring people together. Of course, even with purpose, there's another tool that can make staying connected easier than ever before, and that's technology. I know for many people over 70, technology can feel like a mountain that's too high to climb. Smartphones, video calls, social media, it can seem overwhelming. But once you take the time to learn even just a little, it opens doors you didn't even know were possible. Think about it. With a few taps, you can see your grandson's smile even if he's across the country. You can join a virtual book club where members share thoughts on a story from all over the world. You can reconnect with an old friend through an online search, or even meet new ones in groups for people who share your interests. There are groups for gardening, knitting, travel, history, faith, and just about anything else you can imagine. If you've ever thought, it's too late for me to learn all that, let me reassure you, it's not. Many local libraries, senior centers, and even churches offer free or low-cost classes to help you get comfortable with technology. You don't need to become an expert. You just need to know enough to use it as a bridge to the people and passions that make you happy. And once you start, it gets easier and easier. One woman I know, a 78-year-old grandmother, started learning how to use her smartphone simply because she wanted to see her great-grandchildren on video calls. At first, she thought she'd never figure it out. But within a few weeks, she was not only calling family, she had joined a group of other women her age who loved quilting. They met once a week over video chat, sharing patterns, stories, and a lot of laughter. She told me it felt like having friends in her living room every week, even though they were scattered across the country. That's the power of embracing technology. You get to shrink the distance between you and the world. Now, purpose and technology are powerful tools, but there's something even more intimate, something closer to home that can bring joy and connection into your life. And that's intergenerational relationships. There is something profoundly uplifting about bridging the gap between generations. Maybe it's spending time with grandchildren, great-grandchildren, or the kids next door. Young people bring energy, curiosity, and a fresh perspective on life. And in return, you bring them wisdom, patience, and the kind of life lessons they can't find on the internet. Picture this. You're sitting at the kitchen table with a young neighbor, teaching them how to bake bread the way your mother taught you. Or you're helping a teenager learn how to drive while sharing stories about the first car you ever owned. These are moments of connection that ripple far beyond the time you spend together. Young people remember these things, and they grow up carrying pieces of your love and guidance with them. But it's not just about giving. Spending time with younger generations can lift your spirits too. Their excitement is contagious, their laughter infectious. They might introduce you to new music, new technology, or even new slang that makes you laugh at how much the world has changed. And sometimes, just being reminded of how much life still lies ahead for them can give you a renewed sense of hope for your own days. It's not always easy to create those intergenerational bonds, especially if your family lives far away or you don't have children of your own. But opportunities are everywhere if you look for them. Schools often have programs where seniors can mentor students. Libraries may host story times where older adults are invited to read. Even just offering to babysit or spend an afternoon with a neighbor's child can create a bond that enriches both of your lives. So let's take a breath and reflect for a moment. We've talked about purpose, about stepping into roles where you're needed. We've talked about technology, learning to use it as a tool for connection instead of something to fear. And we've talked about intergenerational relationships, how they can bring energy and joy into your life in unexpected ways. Each of these isn't just about filling your time, they're about filling your heart, creating new stories and new memories that remind you life is still so full of possibility. And if you've been nodding along, or if something I've said has sparked an idea in your heart, I'd love for you to show your support by liking this video and subscribing to the channel. It helps us reach more people who might be sitting in their homes right now, wondering how to bring joy back into their lives. You never know who you might be helping simply by clicking that button. Now, we've explored the beauty of finding purpose, embracing technology, and connecting across generations. All of these are incredible ways to feel less alone, more connected, and happier than you might have imagined possible. But there's one more piece to this puzzle, one final way to weave everything together into a life that feels rich and fulfilling. And it's something that touches the deepest part of who we are. At the heart of everything we've talked about, new friendships, old connections, purpose, technology, and time with younger generations, there's a deeper thread running through it all, and that thread is community. Human beings were never meant to live in isolation. We're built to laugh together, to share meals, to celebrate milestones, and even to comfort one another in hard times. After 70, when the pace of life slows and friends may drift away, it becomes even more important to create a sense of belonging, a circle that holds you up and reminds you that you're never truly alone. Community doesn't have to mean a large crowd or a busy social calendar. Sometimes community is just a handful of people who see you, who listen, and who make space for your voice. It could be a small group at your place of worship, where the warmth of shared faith binds you together. It might be a walking group that meets twice a week at the park, where you not only stretch your legs but also share stories, jokes, and encouragement. It could even be a few neighbors who decide to gather for coffee every Saturday morning, turning an ordinary ritual into a lifeline of friendship. One of the most powerful things about building a community is that it transforms ordinary life into something meaningful. A potluck dinner becomes more than food, its laughter echoing around the table. A simple group outing to the farmer's market becomes a chance to swap recipes, taste new things, and feel part of something larger than yourself. Even a short visit to check on someone who isn't feeling well becomes a reminder that we all matter, that we're all connected. And here's the beautiful truth. Community doesn't just benefit you. When you step into a circle, you're giving as much as you're receiving. Your presence, your stories, your perspective, they enrich the lives of others. Someone may need to hear your wisdom, or your humor, or simply your reminder that they are not alone either. Sometimes the greatest gift we can give is just showing up. But I know there are days when reaching out feels difficult, days when energy is low, when the phone feels heavy, when silence seems easier than conversation. And that's when self-compassion matters most. Because the journey to feeling connected and happy again isn't about forcing yourself into a version of life that no longer fits. It's about gently, steadily, opening yourself to the possibilities around you. One step at a time, one smile at a time, one new memory at a time. Maybe today that means walking outside and waving to a neighbor. Tomorrow it might mean picking up the phone to call a cousin you haven't spoken to in years. The next day, it could be as simple as joining a group at the local library, or finally learning how to use video chat so you can see the faces of the people you love. Every step counts, every effort builds. And before long, those efforts weave together into something beautiful, a life where loneliness is replaced with connection and where happiness feels possible again. So let's take a moment to breathe that in, because here's the most important thing I want you to remember. It is never too late. Not too late to make a new friend, not too late to find purpose, not too late to learn, to laugh, to give, and to belong. Loneliness does not define you. The past does not define you. What defines you is your courage to keep reaching out, to keep showing up for yourself and for others. I want you to imagine yourself 6 months from now, looking back at this very moment. What if you had taken just one of these steps? Maybe you joined a group, or rekindled an old friendship, or found joy in a new hobby that introduced you to others who share your interests. Picture how much fuller your days could feel. Picture yourself smiling more often, waking up with more anticipation for the day ahead, feeling that warmth of connection in your heart again. That future is possible, and it starts with small steps you take today. And while you're walking this path, don't forget to share your story, because your story has the power to encourage others. I would love for you to share in the comments below. What's one thing you've done recently that made you feel more connected? Or what's one step you're inspired to try after hearing this? You might be surprised at how many people out there are feeling exactly the same way you are, waiting for someone like you to remind them they're not alone. And if you found comfort or encouragement here, I ask you once more, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Not just for yourself, but because it helps us reach others who may be sitting in silence, waiting for a spark of hope. Together, we can build a community where no one feels forgotten, where every person knows they still matter, no matter their age. So let's close with this thought. Happiness and connection don't disappear with time. They simply change shape. When friends drift away, it can feel like a door has closed. But life is full of doors. Some old ones can still be reopened with a gentle knock, and new ones can swing wide open when you least expect it. What matters most is that you keep walking forward, hand on the doorknob, ready to step into the warmth that's waiting on the other side. You are not alone. You are deeply valued. And there is so much joy still waiting for you in the days ahead. Here's to living your best life, at 70, at 80, at 90, and beyond. Because connection, laughter, and love have no expiration date.